Hello, everyone. Well, last week we began working our way into James chapter 5, which is the last chapter of this letter. And this week we're going to continue on in chapter 5, taking a look at verses 7 through 9. Now, in the first 6 verses of the chapter, James speaks again quite sternly regarding the dangers of misusing material wealth, invoking apocalyptic images as he does so. And as we'll see, he takes that theme of the last days and goes a little further with it in these next few verses. So I'm going to jump right in here. James chapter 5, verses 7 through 9. Be patient then, brothers and sisters, until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, patiently waiting for the autumn and spring rains. You too, be patient and stand firm, because the Lord's coming is near. Don't grumble against one another, brothers and sisters, or you will be judged. The judge is standing at the door. Now he goes on to talk more about patience and perseverance in the next couple of verses, verses 10 and 11, but we'll get to that next time, Lord willing, because we have enough to deal with here in these few verses. So let me just mention something first about the agricultural metaphor that James uses. This is just a technical aspect of the environment that they were in. They have two fully distinct harvest seasons in that part of the world, in Israel. That's always been the case. So there is a harvest in the spring for grains and a harvest in the autumn for fruits and vegetables. So that's why the farmers in the metaphor are waiting for autumn and spring rains. But aside from that just being an observation about the seasons, the idea of harvest as a metaphor for Christ's redemptive work and his eventual return is something that is prominent throughout the Gospels. And we might even take that a step further and say that the two harvests, in a way, sort of illustrate the first and second comings of Christ. And so James is definitely tapping into that same kind of imagery here by connecting the idea of harvest with the return of the Lord. But his point is clear. Be patient, because the Lord is on his way. As Paul says, the night is nearly over. The day is almost here. Now, this involves a theological concept that we should talk about for a moment as well. In verse 3 of this chapter, as discussed last time, James was rebuking the wealthy for hoarding their wealth in the last days. And now he's continuing on with that same idea in mind as he exhorts the church to be patient until the Lord comes back. The last days is terminology that can be a little tricky to understand. In the New Testament, this is a phrase that refers to the entire time in between Jesus' ascending into heaven and his eventual return, which for obvious reasons is an as yet unspecified amount of time. We won't know how long it ends up being until Jesus actually returns. Jesus himself doesn't even know when it's going to happen. He tells us that in Matthew chapter 24. In the book of Daniel, in Daniel chapter 12, an angel is describing this same time period to the prophet, revealing to him a glimpse of the church age that was yet to come with the arrival of the Messiah. This was around 500 years before Jesus was born. But this angel refers to the length of the church age as a time, times, and half a time. But that same Hebrew phrase can also be translated as a year, 2 years, and half a year. Now, it's obviously been more than 3.5 literal years since Jesus died, rose, and ascended. So all that to say, the number or the description of the amount of time is symbolic. It has to be symbolic because no one knows when Jesus is coming back except God the Father. Now, John uses this same kind of symbolic phrasing in the book of Revelation when he's talking about time periods. Jesus used it as well, but he called this unspecified amount of time the times of the Gentiles in Luke chapter 21, verse 24. Paul uses wording in Romans 11:25 that is somewhat similar to those words of Jesus. The idea being that this time period refers to the time when salvation is being offered to everyone in the world, to all nations, tribes, peoples, and languages. We just don't know how long it's going to last. And so when the Bible speaks about this age we are living in right now, the language is cryptic. It's like the sand on the seashore, the stars in the sky. God knows exactly how many grains of sand there are and how many stars there are in the universe. But we don't know the exact number. We just know there's a lot of them. And it's the same with the last days. The apostles were expecting Jesus' return to happen at any time, and teaching that it could happen at any time because, according to Jesus' words, it can happen at any time. But Peter says this about it in 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 3 and 4. Above all, you must understand that in the last days scoffers will come, scoffing and following their own evil desires. They will say, "Where is this coming he promised? Ever since our ancestors died, everything goes on as it has since the beginning of creation." And then, skipping down to verse 8, he says, "But do not forget this one thing, dear friends. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. The Lord is not slow in keeping his promise, as some understand slowness. Instead, he is patient with you, not wanting anyone to perish, but everyone to come to repentance. But the day of the Lord will come like a thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar, the elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything done in it will be laid bare." So the point is, we don't know how long it's going to be before Christ returns, but the instruction is still the same. The Lord is patient with us, and we in turn have to be patient as well. No matter what kind of evil is going on in the world, no matter how bad it gets, it will all be made right one day. The command for us is to persevere, to keep going, to do the work that we've been given to do, and to do it as well as we are able to. And waiting, being patient, doesn't mean not doing anything. We can go back to the farming metaphor here. I've gotten to know some of the farmers in my church well enough to see that they are still working even when they are waiting. There's still a lot of stuff that has to be done all the time. Waiting patiently is work. Waiting patiently is work no matter what we do for a living or in what season of life we are in. There's a reason why patience is listed as one of the fruits of the Spirit. It's also called forbearance or long suffering in some translations. Waiting patiently on the Lord is work, but that is not the only thing that James tells us to do. He also says in verse 8 to stand firm. Now, I got an interesting little surprise when I was studying this passage this past week, that phrase, stand firm, kind of stuck out to me. It struck me as a little bit odd because that's an English expression. So I got curious, as I do from time to time, and I wanted to see if that's what it said in Greek, in the original Greek. So I got my lexicon out and I looked it up, and in the original language it says styrixate cardias. I think that's how you pronounce it. Styrixate cardias. I'm not a Greek expert. I have to look everything up. But that second word, cardias, sounds a little familiar, right? Cardio. That's where we get the word cardio. So in the original Greek, this phrase actually says, strengthen your heart. Strengthen your heart. That's often easier said than done, both physically and spiritually. I've been struggling with my cardias for the past 5 years. I just saw my electrophysiologist this past Wednesday, and that's what he said to me. Keep strengthening your heart. And of course, there's a list of things that I have to do that contribute to that. And it's a daily effort. It has to be. But dealing with this in a physical way also teaches me how to deal with the spiritual aspect of it. And that's really what James is talking about, of course. So what does he mean? What does it mean to strengthen our hearts spiritually? Well, for the purposes of this message, I've narrowed it down to 4 things. 4 ways in which the care of our physical hearts metaphorically parallels the care of our spiritual hearts. The first one is rhythm. We have to maintain a healthy heart rhythm. That's where I have problems. That's some of the difficulties I have with my heart involve rhythm. But a healthy rhythm is steady and balanced. Not too fast and not too slow. And of course, Jesus is our great pacemaker. He sets the beat. If we keep our focus on him, listening to what he says, listening to his voice, following his steps, he will keep us at the right spiritual tempo. If we listen to other things for that beat, we will get out of tune. We'll lose a healthy rhythm. Think about all the other stuff we hear, all the noise out there. If we focus too much on it, the world will smother the pulse that we've been given, and that will weaken us spiritually as we get out of rhythm with the Master. Second thing, a healthy heart has to maintain the right amount of 4 electrolytes. It has to utilize 4 electrolytes in the right amount. And they have to be present in the right amount in our bodies. 4 nutrients that keep everything functioning within normal parameters. Sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. If any one of these is out of balance, it can disrupt the heart in various ways and in turn the rest of the body. And the same is true for our spiritual heart. There are 4 essential elements that help to strengthen us spiritually. We've talked about them before. All 4 of them can be found in one verse. Acts chapter 2, verse 42. The early church devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. The apostles' teaching is the Bible. They taught from the Old Testament while writing the New. Fellowship is quality time spent with other believers. Breaking bread is eating together, which also includes communion. That's originally how it was. And prayer is the 4th ingredient. Individual prayer and communal prayer. These are lifelines for us that keep us strong in the Lord. If we are deficient in any of these, then we're going to have symptoms. The good news is, as with the 4 electrolytes, they are all readily available. God has provided everything that we need. But we have to go to Him, because the world does not have what we need. The world messes everything up. It puts too much sodium in everything, which messes all kinds of things up in the body, causes all kinds of problems. The third element in strengthening our hearts is movement. Keep moving. This is what they keep telling me at the cardiac rehab gym. Keep moving. Go a little bit further. Do a little bit more. That's what everyone there is trying to do. Keep moving, because the more we move, the more the heart pumps and the stronger it gets. Movement is life. And the same is true with spiritual life. We have to keep moving. We can't sit still and get stuck. Which is ironic, since the NIV translates this as standing firm. Standing firm in this context just means not being moved by the wrong things. But in a spiritual sense, it means following Christ. Letting Christ be the one who moves us. And He's always trying to move us forward. He's always wanting us to grow, always wanting us to be more like Him. And when we stumble, as we all do, He picks us up and He says, "Come on, let's keep going." Follow me is the first thing that He said to the disciples. And that's what He is always saying to us. And the fourth element to strengthening our hearts is go to the doctor. The doctor is the one who can tell us whether or not we are healthy and what we need to do, and whether or not we need a test or procedure or medicine or just more exercise or all of the above. We don't always have the knowledge that we need. And on our own, we probably won't have an accurate understanding of our condition. We need help from the one who knows the territory, from the one who knows the heart. Man, I wish I could go back in time and tell myself that 20 years ago. Go to the doctor. It took about 2 years of 2 doctors coming to my church at Daily Chapel, Dr. Tom and Dr. Wheat. Started coming to my church years ago. And after they had been there for a couple of years, and I had gone to their house, and they'd come to my house, and I'd had multiple conversations with both of them, and then after all that, still waiting until I was forced to go to the ER, and it was almost too late, it took all that for me to realize I needed help. And spiritually speaking, we all need help. It goes without saying that we cannot do it on our own. He is the Savior. But some people are afraid to go to the great physician. Like I was afraid to go to my doctors. Some people are afraid to go to Jesus because of whatever reasons. But He's the only one who can fix us for eternity. He's the main ingredient in strengthening our hearts. Sustain rhythm, maintain the essential elements, move forward, and keep going to the doctor. The world is going to try and get us doing the opposite of all this. It's going to try and destroy our hearts. If we let it, it will get us off beat. It will poison us. It will petrify us into sitting down and giving up. And it will give us fake doctors to diagnose us with the wrong problems and give us snake oil instead of real medicine. The world does this every day. We live in a world where every evil and unjust tragedy and crime is being projected directly into our faces in real time. Human brains, human spirits, human hearts are not designed to absorb the amount of collective trauma that exists in the world, which we are bombarded with all the time. There are, to be sure, terrible things happening in the world. There are terrible things happening in our country. There are terrible things happening in our communities. And from time to time, terrible things happen to us or the people we know and love. But if we are constantly trying to match tempo with all that other stuff that's going on, it will wear us out and our hearts will fail us. We have to unplug sometimes. We have to put the phone away, turn the TV off, turn the radio off, whatever it may be. Unplug from it all, at least for a little while, every week. And I know you guys have noticed this. The people on the news do not talk like normal people talk. Listen to them. Listen how they talk. Everything is a disaster. Everything. Everything is imminent doom. There's a snowstorm in the Rocky Mountains. Surprise, surprise. And they talk about it like half the continent is about to break off and sink into the ocean. They do that with everything. So unplug from it from time to time and let the peace of Christ wash over you. Let the peace of Christ consume you. We live in a world that offers us an abundance of the wrong things to consume. It tells us to fill our bodies, minds, and hearts with things that will kill us mentally, physically, and spiritually. And while doing that, it belittles church gathering, scoffs at the Bible, offers us one feast of immorality after another, and treats prayer like a cliche. Thoughts and prayers, some platitude or some pagan mantra. We live in a world that is trying its darndest to inundate us with so much deception that it drowns out the light we carry. And it's overwhelming people. The world says, don't keep moving. It's nighttime. It's dark out there. So just go to sleep. Turn your lights off and go to sleep for a while. Don't worry about this whole Christian, church, Jesus thing. Why do you want to worry about that? Those fables and fairy tales. There's a lot more interesting stuff to do and think about. That's what the world does. And we live in this world that is offering us thousands of actors playing the role of doctors. Fake messiahs to follow and get our medicine from. Thousands of them. Individually designed, tailor-made, intentionally framed to our specifications, biases, tastes, and preferences. And standing behind all of them is the enemy. The enemy who masquerades as an angel of light, just waiting for us to either give up or to bow down and do what he wants. We're not going to. Be patient then, brothers and sisters, until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, patiently waiting for the autumn and spring rains? You too, be patient and strengthen your hearts, because the Lord's coming is near. Don't grumble against one another, brothers and sisters, or you will be judged. The judge is standing at the door.